the word cloud around Africa and the perception, it makes me incredibly upset because you've seen that the West is showing Africa through a lens that is so distorted from the whole picture. Because Africa is actually a huge multicultural, multi-ethnic, as we talked about, landscape that is full of entrepreneurs and leaders and businesses, just like the rest of the world, and ultimately ventures that deserve investment. And the trend that we see, I couldn't have said it any better, is that the world seems to feel it's more important to donate to these non-for-profit initiatives, to these aid initiatives that ultimately aren't helping these communities become self-reliant. And what I think we need to remember is the historic exploitation of Africa for centuries. So much of what is in every Western household, from the wiring in your house to the technology to the computers to maybe the rings on your finger, came from the African continent in a very exploitative way, in ways where the companies that are profiting the most off the natural resources are largely not domiciled in Africa. There's foreign companies that are basically extracting resources without returning anything. And it's been this way for hundreds of years, with bodies, with minerals, with raw materials, with all of these things. And I think that what needs to happen is, instead of that investment going towards these, very destructive to the environment kinds of processes, that we need to be investing in local entrepreneurship and what I call eco-entrepreneurs, or individuals who are working to build a better world. And there's this perception in the West that like we know best, and it's very patronizing. It's very much this paternalistic mindset that's like, instead of investing capital and believing that the people who are running their business that they've successfully started and gained traction for, instead of investing and letting them direct it, we really kind of hold the reins and invest in these nonprofit initiatives that go and don't actually distribute capital that can be more freely used. And Africa is a great place to invest. If you look at the numbers, foreign direct investment in Africa has higher returns and has higher profit margins than investing in Latin America and the Caribbean, or investing in the developed world. It's actually more profitable to invest in Africa than most of the world. And so I think that's something that people need to realize, is that Africa is a great place to invest, especially now because it's the fastest growing population segment. Expected population growth in Asia is actually on a decline slightly. In the Americas, it's very small population projection growth. And then in Africa, the population is expected to double in the next century and be at more than 50% by 2050. So what we're seeing is this need to get capital in at these community levels and actually start creating job opportunities and start creating opportunities for wealth creation. One really big surprise to me was that there's this narrative that people are starving in Africa, that people don't have enough resources, and then you go to somewhere like the Kenya coast, which is one of the most abundant places I've ever been, to the point where there's mangoes and jackfruits and coconuts like falling off the tree. Yeah. So many jackfruits in some places that they're rotting on the ground because they don't have the machinery, they don't have the capital, they don't have the resources to process those jackfruits into some kind of preserved mechanism, even just to get them over to the next town or the next city to sell. And so while there's, of course, these huge infrastructure gaps, there is an abundance of raw materials. We just have to help the people who want to be making things like jackfruit-based meat substitutes or cashew-based cheese products or cultured coconut yogurt products. There's people who are doing all of this at this small scale, handmade level because that's what they have access to. But
Yeah.
they have this vision of becoming global leaders in veganism, of getting their products in the hands of people in the UK and the US and all over the world. But of course, the capital constraints are what's keeping them from realizing those goals. And so my mission is, instead of, you know, having this belief that we should donate to these nonprofit ventures and really just kind of sustain this cycle of, you know, putting in whatever it may be, food or the resources to build a school, that instead we invest in entrepreneurship, because
Yeah.
this is ultimately the people who are leading these businesses in the communities know what their communities want and need. They've been talking to people about it. They've got the support. And in the West, we think that we should choose what we invest in.
Yeah.
In the sense that, like, these, like, I'm specifically talking about the nonprofit initiatives, the food and the hunger initiatives, which are very important to solve. I believe food security is one of the most important problems in this world, but I think we also need to put this into perspective that every single day, the same amount of people or more are dying from hunger and from malnutrition as are dying from the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And it's not making headline news every single day because the drivers of world hunger are truly animal agriculture. 83% of the agricultural land on this planet is used to either grow food to feed livestock animals or to have those livestock animals live on. However, 83% of the land produces like 18% of the global calories that are needed. So it doesn't add up.
No.
And I think that we need to be spreading this awareness and education, as well as spreading a lifestyle that focuses on plant-based eating.
Yeah.
Because you look at some of these aid organizations, and a very large amount of them are focused on animal gifting. So
Yes.
you think that you're feeding, you know, you feel really good, maybe you're donating to feed a family for a month, but what you're really doing is, you know, buying them a goat or a few goats or some chickens or
Yeah.
these animal products that are unsustainable. And we've seen that, you know, living in very close quarters with animals is something that causes all of these different endemic diseases to occur. And at the same time, it's perpetuating a lifestyle where consuming animal products is not only unsustainable for the environment, but it's not the healthiest option for our bodies either. So I think when, you know, there's a lot of people that just, they want to help. They want to see a better world. They want to see less inequality. But we have to start talking about what's really helping and what's really perpetuating the same cycles that are ultimately actually hurting people. And I think that that is where the Vegan Africa Fund is really coming in to say Africa is going to be helped so much more through impact investing, as compared to, you know, donating through the nonprofit sector.